Good morning, students. Welcome for second series of your BOS for your success. This is session one on paper 1 financial reporting. In the previous session, which was also for BOS for success, we have covered some general tips, how to prepare for this paper, what are the do's and don'ts which you should take care of while before examination, at the time of examination, and even after completing the examination, during the examination and after the examination. So I believe all those who have attended today's session, they were there in the session one also, sorry, in the series one of this BOS for success, where we have covered all these points. In case Today we'll be covering the case scenarios which we have covered in the mock test papers. We'll start with the second series mock test paper which we have released for April 2025, and then we'll come to, if time permits, we'll come to March 2025 one mock test paper. So before that, students, we just want to understand, are you interested directly to go for mock test paper, or do you want me to brief it again, some general tips quickly, and then to move to mock test papers? So just give your comments, Ajit, chat. Okay, so students, you can give your comments here. अजीत नहीं आ रहा, ये माउस ठीक से काम भी नहीं कर. Just a minute, students. Let me see in case you have given your opinions. Students, how do you want us to start? In case you are not giving any option, we'll start with mock test papers. इसमें कुछ है? Okay, students, since no response we have received, it is not working. देखो, ये आता नहीं ऑप्शन. माउस चेंज करो इसको. देखो यहाँ ऑप्शन कहाँ है रे? इधर आ रहा है, इधर आ रहा है. नहीं नहीं, चैट देखने के लिए तो यही चाहिए ना. Okay, so students, let's move on to our mock test paper. So this is our mock test paper for April 2025, which we have released. For this second series of mock test paper, we'll be going through the case scenarios and try to understand what is the scenario and how to answer it. So students, in the previous session, we have covered that if you are attempting for case scenario or for MCQs, it is always preferred in the paper of financial reporting. First, go through the questions, MCQs, and then read the scenario. What will happen that in that way, you'll be somewhere in the back of the mind, you'll be aware of what is the question which you are supposed to reply. So when you will be studying the scenario, you'll be easily able to connect with the question, and you'll be able to mark it in the case scenario that this particular question belongs to this scenario belongs to MCQs. Okay, some students have given their response. Please do share some tips again. Ruchita is saying, and okay, Aman Singh is also saying that he wants some brief again. Could you please go to the general tips, ma'am? Okay, one Rohan is saying for a mock test paper. However, Ruchita is again saying, ma'am, please do the little discussion regarding approach to study FR. Okay, students, we'll move on. No issues. We'll move with the PPT, but we'll try to be a bit fast. Okay, so and in case students you want to go for detail, you can refer the previous BOS section which we took place on 10th, what was the date, 24th March, which that was a session one, which we as series one of this BOS for success for this paper financial reporting. Okay, so students, if we go directly, this was the first step which we explained you was about the question paper. What is the paper pattern? So those students who have already attempted earlier, they are aware of the question paper, that now 30% is your MCQ based objective type question paper, and second is 70% is descriptive type question paper. All the MCQs which will be appearing in 30%, they won't be independent. Some will be on case scenarios and some will be on descriptive questions. Okay, so 70% as you were earlier seeing the mock financial reporting question paper, it will be similar in that same pattern. 30% objective type question paper has been introduced for the first time under this scheme in this paper of financial reporting, and it has started from May 24. So in May 24, examination department was not distributing the question papers for objective type questions, but in November 24 they have provided the MCQ scenario based question paper also. So that is there on the website also. However, if you want to go through or you want to get an idea or insight about what kind of paper will be there when it comes both 30% and 70%, you can refer the mock test papers, because these are mock test papers. They are exactly the replica of the paper pattern which is coming in your final examination or main examinations. So those 30% MCQs will not be independent MCQs, they will be case scenario based MCQs. So a case scenario will be provided to you, and based on the scenario there will be certain MCQs, and on those MCQs you have to reply. Okay. So this is the paper pattern. Malay is asking, guide the way to start the exam. Find first, should I attempt MCQs or ma'am questions then MCQs? Students, see, what I believe is that in MCQs you are being provided with 4 options. So your thinking is somewhere restricted to 4 walls, that is 4 options. And another thing, another plus point of MCQs are that you are not supposed to give any reasoning, you are not supposed to give any calculation, or you can do it on calculator, so it saves your time. So if you are confident that the MCQs, which, because you won't get that 15 minutes to read the MCQ paper part, okay? That part 1 objective type questions will not be provided to you before time. That will be provided only exactly at 2 o'clock, or whatever 15 minutes additional time which is given only for reading the question paper, that will be only for descriptive question. So in that descriptive question you can mark it out which question you have to do first and which question you have to give it later, you have to attempt later. But for your MCQs, whenever you get the question paper along with the answer sheet, at that time you'll get that MCQ part 1 question paper. Spare 5 minutes, go through the question paper of MCQ portion, and if you feel that you are confident that whatever MCQs are being asked you will be able to answer it, then go for MCQs first, because it will save your time. If your answer matches with the options given therein, then you'll be feeling confident also, and it will give somewhere at the back of the mind, it will give a satisfaction that you have completed 30% of your paper. So you are left with 70% remaining. And every MCQ, all the MCQs are application based. Therefore, we expect that 3 to 4 minutes will be given to students for each MCQ. So in total, there will be 15 MCQs. Each MCQs are of 2 marks. So for 15 MCQs, if 3 to 4 minutes on an average, if we believe 3 minutes are provided, it means 45 minutes are given. 45 to 60 minutes we expect you to take for this MCQ portion for 30% marks paper. So here, if you save time, rather than taking completely 60 minutes, 1 hour for completing this part 1, if you do it in 40 minutes or say 45 minutes, you are saving 15 minutes. That saving of 15 minutes you can utilize in your descriptive portion. So I advise you, my personal opinion is that you can start with MCQs only when you are confident. See, this is very important clause, only when you are confident. See, if you're not confident, then don't go for MCQs first, because there it is not that there'll be a step marking. Correct means correct, wrong means wrong. Okay. And that you have to fill it over OMR sheet. So there is no any gray area that, okay, you get instead of 2 marks, you get 1 marks or 1.5 marks or 0.5 marks. No, +2 or -2. Simple. So that's why I'm saying only if you are confident. And in case you are not confident, let's go for second option also. In case you are not confident, then first start with the descriptive question which you are most confident, and in between attempt that part 1 paper. Not at the end. Don't do it at the end, because they are all application based. Try to leave theoretical questions for the end, because there you can reduce time, you can put it in bullets, you can put it in phrases, you can put it in by headings, still you may get answer marks. But don't leave any practical question for the end. Okay, because for practical questions, there are no shortcuts, there are no summaries. You have to complete it. You have to match the balance sheet if required. You have to prepare the P&L, or you have to prepare the statement or table. You have to do the calculations. So there you cannot cut short anything. Na? All the steps you have to complete. But in theory, what you can do, you can write less. You can reduce your whole paragraph into bullet points. You can do it in headings, you can do it in phrases. Na? So examiner knows that ki by the end, students get less time, and that's why they have attempted in this manner. So they consider that. But leaving practical questions at the end will not be, is not advisable. Okay. Okay. Rava Anish is asking, if we attempt all theory questions, what will be taken for marking? Which will be taken for marking? There's no need. See, always FR paper is considered to be lengthy. Most of 90% students feel that they were not left with extra time. So definitely, in case some students feel that they were not able to complete the question paper, they left some questions. Some says that they were able to complete, but they did not get extra time. But it is not always. It is in any case, it is not that you get extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you have completed a paper and you are sitting idle. It will not be a situation in the case of financial reporting. So why to waste your time in attempting all the 6 questions when you are supposed to answer only 5 questions? Choose those who are confident, questions which you are confident. It depends on the examiner also. See, if you attempt 6 questions, some examiners take best fives, okay, and some examiners check first five, and they leave the sixth question. So in case they leave sixth question, what is the purpose of attempting the sixth question? Okay. So it is always advisable to do only those questions which are supposed to be done. And supposed to be done is only 5. Okay. Don't try to matlab, show your that ki okay, take the risk that ki agar ye galat hoga, that will be there, so I can do it. I marks will be provided. It depends on the examiner. There is no standard thing, and we cannot rule it out. This is a subjective clause. We cannot rule it out. We cannot say that examiners why you have not checked this last one, because it was not supposed to be checked. Okay. So I hope, Anish, I have given you the reply. We will come back to the PPT again. The question pattern, I have already mentioned you that there'll be 30% MCQs, which in that most probably you'll be getting 2 to 3 case scenarios and 2 or 3 independent questions. Okay. Every case scenario will have minimum 3 MCQs and maximum 5 or 6 MCQs. In descriptive 70 pass questions, there will be 6 questions of 14 marks each, out of which you have to do any 5. First question will be compulsory, and one internal choice will also be provided besides this external choice of 5 out of 6. There will be one internal choice as well. Okay, study guidelines. This is very important, student. This is a separate document which is given at the end of the RTP. Sometimes it is also given on the website also. This study guidelines contains within the syllabus what are the topics which you are not supposed to study, which you are supposed to exclude or just skip them. Okay. One is, however, most of the things we have not covered in the study material also, but still for your understanding that it is covered in the syllabus, it doesn't mean that everything is coming in the exam also. There may be some things that which is in the syllabus gives you the broad picture. Within that broad framework, there may be some subtopics which we have excluded it. That is given in the study guidelines. FR study guideline does not carry much of exclusions. It carries only few exclusions, like for your Ind AS 37, we have excluded appendix A and B. For your Ind AS 16, one appendix we have excluded. There are 4 standards which we have completely excluded from your this syllabus. One is your Ind AS 104. This has now been replaced by 117, but 117 is newly notified and it is not applicable for May 25 examination. Since whenever new standard comes, 1 year after releasing public release, we make it applicable. So it will be applicable from November 25. However, because it is a industry specific standard, so it won't be applicable for November 25 as well. 104 was not applicable. So similarly, 104 was replaced by 117. 117 won't be applicable. Your 106, which is on minerals, 114, which is on regulatory requirements, these standards have been skipped, and one on hyperinflationary say, accounting. So these 4 standards which we have excluded study guidelines. Besides that, study guidelines also carries the information that which edition of the study material is applicable to you, what are the amendments which are not covered in the study material but are applicable to you for a particular attempt, that is also mentioned there. Like your notification for 117 is mentioned there that it is not applicable. 117 is not applicable for May 25. However, consequential amendments in other standards due to notification of 117 is applicable, because for those limited, your cutoff date is 6 months. So accordingly, that will be applicable for May 25 examination. Okay. So study guidelines carry these information. So it is students are supposed to go through the RTP and refer these study guidelines, which is given at the end of the RTP for your May 25 examination. Okay, list of topic wise, whatever we have discussed, this is all we believe. Certain appendix in 16 and 37 is not applicable to you. 29, 117, 106 and 114 complete entire standard we have excluded it from the your preparation list. Okay. Okay. List one more thing, which edition of the study material. November 2024, we have revised the study material in November 2024, which is applicable for May 25 examination. One important point this we have to take care is students that though at the end of every Ind AS, if there are differences between AS and Ind AS, that has been covered in the study material. However, they are basically theoretical in nature. Students have to know that students are supposed to read those differences. However, with respect to AS7, AS9, AS19 and AS22, which we have studied in your intermediate level, and corresponding to that, we have Ind AS at final level. Like for AS7 and AS9, we have Ind AS 115. For AS19, we have our Ind AS 116, and for AS22, we have Ind AS 12. So the differences between these accounting standards and vis-a-vis Ind AS, not only in the form of theory, in the form of practical question may also be asked in the examination, which will be somewhere of 5 marks or plus. Okay. So minimum 5 marks question will be there. So students, you are supposed to practice the practical applications of these differences also. Okay, only differences, not the provision or entire provision of AS7, AS9, 19, 22. No, that is not required. But any practical application of the differences between AS and Ind AS with respect to AS7, 9, 19, and 22 may be asked in the examination. From where to study? So students, quick is study material, your MCQ paper practice online dashboard along with the booklet which we have released, Saransh, RTPs, suggested answers, MTP. Saransh can be worked in two ways, as a summary note also, as a last minute revision of just brushing up your concepts. Okay. Last minute revision, personal notes, whatever you are preparing, from whatever notes you are doing, from whatever material you are studying, along with the practical question, because this is entire practical paper. So practical questions are what you have to study, practice, practice, and practice. You can practice it in the form of the questions which you have highlighted, you have marked it or shortlisted. You can practice number of questions in the form of RTPs, in the form of mock test papers, but practice more as number of questions as possible for you. Okay. Basic based on your available time. Okay. Following points for your plan your CV. This is not to be discussed at the end, but those students who are not attempting for May 25, but they are attempting later in your September examination or in your January examination and are viewing this BOS for success, they may plan your studies. They can avoid last minute. Don't go for last minute preparation ki last ke 3 mahine mein उठाएंगे एक group पढ़ेंगे. No, that is not advisable, especially for this paper. This is very technical paper and voluminous also. The syllabus is huge, voluminous study materials. Those study materials voluminous because of the number of questions which we are providing you. Almost 1500 questions we are providing you, including examples and illustrations and test your knowledge questions, practice questions. So we are providing you good number of questions besides RTPs, which we give in addition to the study material. So you need time to do every question, and what we always suggest you is to do written practice. So you need time, so don't go for last minute preparation. You have to plan your studies well in advance. Okay. In since it is a technical paper, all Ind AS are very technical and critical in nature. You need to devote time to understand them. To understand, you cannot understand it in one go. You need somebody to explain, or you need to go twice or thrice. So that's why conceptual clarity is very important. Even if you require to go through that standard again, go until and unless you gain that conceptual clarity. Okay, don't do any selective studies because you have interrelation of standards. Some standards are interrelated, like for example, today we'll covering one question also. If you are aware of investment property, and after that inventory, so if you skip investment property in your preparation and you simply know about Ind AS 2 inventory, that won't serve, because some portions of investment properties, sorry, other way around. If you skip Ind AS 2 and you're doing in Ind AS 40 investment property, in case of investment property later on reclassified or reconverted into inventory or PPE, you must be aware of the provisions for the relevant standard, that is PP Ind AS 16, and for inventory Ind AS 2. In case you have left any of the standard, so you'll falter. You won't be able to attempt the answer fully. So that's why it is very necessary that you do not do any selective study, because standards are interlinked. Okay. Think positive and meditate. This is always advisable, because healthy mind always goes with a healthy body. Okay. In short, I'm just telling you, go for written practice. This is very important. Formats are very important. Go for formats. Don't do any selective study. Written practice of both numerical and theoretical questions. See, here I am harping on theoretical questions. Why it is important that you have to go with the theory questions? Because even the theory question is a practical question. Okay, if in India's, it's not only that arithmetical accuracy you have to go. You have to go how we are not testing your calculator speed. You are not testing how efficient you are, proficient you are in working with calculators and all. What we are seeing or testing is that how you're applying the provisions in different scenarios. So your scenario may not ask you to prepare financial statement, may not ask you to calculate something, but may ask you to apply these provision and give you the treatment in the form of explanation, in the form of conclusion, in the form of stating whether the already done treatment is correct or not. Okay, recommendations, okay, conclusions, evaluation. So there comes the role of consultant. So your this paper in days will help you in developing your consultancy skills. Okay, so numerical questions are there in your financial reporting, but theoretical questions are equally important. In theoretical questions, what happens? You are given in your study material or in anywhere a full one page answer is given for any particular question. When you write, you will find that you are not able to write more than two paragraphs. This happens with everybody, and this can be improved only with the over the period with written practice. Then only you'll be able to understand, okay, so many informations were given, you have given only you were able to reproduce only two paragraphs. So there your written practice will help you to increase that length. Okay, and to cover all the important points. Requirement of the question is very important, students. You have to see that in many questions you feel that it's a numerical question, but it's a theoretical question, though it's a practical question. Recommend, conclude, state whether it is correct or not, explain, describe, all these requires your kahin somewhere at theoretical explanation, maybe substantiated with your calculation also, but not only calculation. Okay. Okay, this is simple. Proper format, this is very important for your Ind AS based financial statement, division 2 of schedule 3. This is important, and we have given all the questions in the study material based on these formats. So you practice all solutions on the basis of the correct format only. Once your brain is accustomed or trained, then you'll realize that in examination also you're drawing your answers in that particular format without any extra effort. Okay. Okay, working notes are very important. This was what we have discussed, because it carries marks. It gives your explanation that how the particular figure has arrived, and they carry marks. They form part of your answer. Okay. How to improve marks? Write the answers which you know the best. Handwriting should be legible. Answer the questions with due emphasis on the provisions of Ind AS wherever required. State the assumptions. Generally, we try to, the question papers try to be very clear without any assumption. But in case some assumptions are required, those assumptions should not be in your mind, should be on your paper also as well. Okay. All sub parts of the question should be attempted at one place. If in case you are not confident with any one part, then leave sufficient space, extra space, and then move on to another piece. If see, if you have attempted part question 2A, but you are not very confident with 2B, then leave one page or two page depending on the mark and move on to question number 3A, so that whenever you, after completing all the questions which you are confident, you can come back and complete it there in the same series. Okay. How to manage time? 15 minutes to has the time which is given to read the question paper should be used judicially, to just to give a glance. You cannot read the entire question paper in 15 minutes, but you have to give a glance to understand and to zero in which question you are going to attempt first. Okay. You won't get that 15 minutes for MCQ paper, beta. Be very good. Take care of this, huh? Okay. And then this allocate is estimated. See, try to complete 40% of your paper in first, 40% of the paper in your first half. That will somewhere release your stress, your unnecessary pressure. It will not create any pressure in your mind because you are through with the 40% paper. Okay. So 20 for 2 hours, 60 means 30 bachega na. So that will, or maintain that speed also. Okay, question number one, always CFS, or there is chance of any other topic. There is always a chance of any. The USP of CA examination is that it is unpredictable. There is no hard and fast rule that the first question is to be on CFS only, because it's a compulsory question. Your first question can be on financial instrument also. Your first question can be on your asset-based standard also, because they have big weightage. So those sections which have big weightage and a question can be asked of 14 marks, they can appear in your first question also. Okay. Hmm. This is same thing. Don't try to write sketchy answers, big answers. Be to the point. Your keywords are very important. That reflects your understanding and conceptual clarity to the examiner. Okay. Through your answer, you can convey your understanding and conceptual clarity, and that can be reflected when you are using those keywords in your answers. Keywords, by keywords, I mean to say that for particular standards, there are certain terminologies which are used and they are used in that standard very frequently. So you have to take care of those terminologies when you are reproducing answer on those standards. Okay. Not necessary to quote Ind AS number or para numbers. Okay. In case you are confident, see, it will always give the edge if you quote Ind AS this on this particular title. The title of the standard is this, and this is the number, and then you write the answer. But in case you're not sure, don't quote the wrong numbers or wrong title. As per the standard and continue. Okay. As per the standard, or standard says that. Okay. This we have already covered in do's and don'ts. Focus. Okay, less students. Now we have already half an hour. We have moved it on. Some important tips. See, students, though you are left with 15 days, 20 days, but still 15 days, but still I'll suggest is that try to attempt as number of mock test papers possible and give a long sitting. One go, you should go for at least 3 hours sitting, and that 3 hours sitting is basically to accustom your brain that you have to sit for 3 hours and utilize it accordingly. Especially go for 2 to 5 वाला timing, which is your main exam timings. उस समय आप इतने trained होना चाहिए आपका brain कि can be used, it should be active at the, आपको क्या करना है. तो आपके पास 15 days है, तो आप 5 या 3 मॉक टेस्ट पेपर्स भी हर सब्जेक्ट के करेंगे इस समय, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम टुडे ऑनवर्ड्स, तो भी आप एक अच्छी पोजीशन पे, यू विल बी लैंडिंग इन अ गुड पोजीशन. ओके. Self introspection is very important. Self introspection, by self introspection I mean to say कि whatever mistakes you have done while doing the mock test paper, just note it down, categorize it in what kind of mistake it is. It is in the form of silly mistake, it is in the form of calculation mistake, it is in the form of wrong interpretation, it is in the form of uh, not understanding the question. You have to categorize your mistakes, and then you can work out. Until unless you know what is the problem, how can you resolve it? Na? So to understand what is the problem, you have to categorize it in what kind of mistake it is. So students, okay, students, let's move on to this is in short. We tried to cover what we have covered in the previous session, general tips. Let's move on to mock test papers. Okay, students, we'll be moving to the mock test paper. Recent. Yeah. Yes. Hmm. So this is mock test paper of your April examination. Okay, one student, a few more queries we have released. Question number one, this we have replied to you. Okay, Manjunath is asking, can we start answering answers from working note? Then main answers like journal entries, balance sheet. Yes, you can do that. There's no problem that you are starting your answer with working note and then you are coming to the main solution. But don't do that. Working note, main solution, working note, main solution. No, either you do all the working notes together and then the main solution, or you leave the space for main solution and then start with the working note, do all the working notes and take the figures to the main solution. But खिचड़ी नहीं बनाना बेटा, है ना, खिचड़ी नहीं बनानी है, वो सेपरेट आइडेंटिफाई होना चाहिए कि मेन सॉल्यूशन है. एक वन क्वेरी विच वी हैव रिसीव्ड इन आवर चैट बॉक्स इज दैट डू वी नीड टू यूज ब्लैक पेन और वी कैन यूज एनी अदर पेन. एज पर द एग्जामिनेशन फॉर्म इट इज ऑलवेज एडवाइज टू यूज ब्लैक पेन. Okay, so use that, go through the examination form. All the necessary tips which examination department requires you to comply with, that you have to take care of. And there I believe it is mentioned for black pen. Okay, this was a query raised by Sitish Kumar. Any other query, students? You can raise at Zoom portal also. You can raise it through ECPL portal also. Okay, your BoS knowledge portal where you are showing it. Now we'll start with our mock test paper. In mock test paper, for second mock test paper series 2, that is for your April 2025, which we release, we are covering the case. We are discussing the case scenarios. The purpose here is that, okay, this is series 2 which we are going to use. The purpose to discuss the case scenario is that you should understand how to attempt case scenario question, because earlier we were not having this type of questions in examination. This will be your third examination as well, and in the study material also we are providing you descriptive questions. So how to cover these case scenarios, how to attempt these case scenarios, what we are going to teach you along with the discussion in what is given in the technical discussion also. Okay. Okay. So students, as I advised you, before going to the case scenarios, let's first go through the MCQs, because it will save your time. Somewhere in the back of the mind, you'll be aware this is the question which is asked, and now somewhere when you are going through a scenario, it will make you relate. It will be relatable. You'll be able to relate that, okay, some MCQ was there on this particular topic. It means the scenario for that particular MCQ is here. So you mark it out. For example, let's do it. We are going first to the MCQs. Question says, analyze the transactions mentioned above and choose the most appropriate answer in questions 1 to 3. So for case scenario 1, there are 3 MCQs which will flow from the scenario. So first, your MCQ is, what is the length of the operating cycle for manufacturing an aircraft? See students, because we believe that you have done your thorough preparation. So by some words also you will be able to identify that this question belongs to which standard. Okay. When I'm talking about length of operating cycle, somewhere it comes to you, it should come to your mind. It relates to Ind AS. Ind AS, which standard? Ind AS, students. It relates to, I want answer from you all students. By going through this length of operating cycle, what comes to your mind?
Ind AS 2.
No. Operating cycle for
Lease.
Ind AS 2? No.
Ind AS 1, ma'am.
Yes. Ind AS 1. Operating cycle is basically used to classify any asset or liability into current and non-current. So it will be Ind AS 1. It should come to your mind. If it is not coming to your mind, somewhere you feel that you are not connecting, your preparation is not that thorough. Okay. So what is the length of operating cycle for manufacturing an aircraft? What I believe those who have given A2, India's 2 or India's 6 leases were reply, maybe because of manufacturing an aircraft. Huh? But here it is India's one because we are talking about the what is the length of operating cycle. Now, second question is what would be the reclassification of trade receivables in the balance sheet, whose amount will be classified in 15 months. So we are talking about classification of trade receivables. So classification of trade receivables may come in your India's 109 also, and it will also come in your India's 1 also, because classification relates to current and non-current, which is covered in your presentation of financial statement, that is India's 1. Okay. And then third question is which of the following statement is correct with respect to entering into subcontract with F Limited? So here I'm not asking you which NDAs is required because subcontract may be with respect to your NDAs 115 also, it may be with relation to NDAs 116 also, it may be with other standards also, there is possibility. So here when there is possibility of 3 or 4 standards, there's no need to break your head. You can just, okay, we'll go through the scenario and then we'll identify it. Okay. बट ऑप्शन यहाँ पे क्लियरली दिया हुआ है कि इंडिया 115 से रिलेटेड आपको देना है ना, बिकॉज 115 इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल, तो ऑप्शन से भी आपको हिंट मिल रही है कि समवेयर इट इज रिलेटेड टू वन इंडिया 115. So students, now after going through the MCQ, we'll move to the scenario. So why now you see what easiness you get when you are reading the scenario. This will save your time. There won't be any need to read the scenario again and again to answer it. Na? Okay. A Limited is engaged in multi-production, construction, and service activities. A Limited prepares its financial statements following Indian accounting standard and follows April-March as its financial year. During the year X1, X2, the company has faced following issues and for their solution seeks your professional advice. First scenario is A Limited A Limited produces aircrafts. The length of time between first purchasing raw materials to make the aircrafts and the date the company completes the production and delivery is 9 months. The company receives payment for the aircraft 7 months after the delivery. So this entire scenario gives you regarding about your length of time. That is what was required, the length of operating cycle. Okay. We move on to second scenario. A Limited provides advertising services to its customers. A Limited entered into a subcontract. Here subcontract term से आपको हो जाएगा कि MCQ 3 में भी subcontract की बात की गई है. इसका मतलब है कि ये सिनेरियो आपका किससे रिलेट करता है? MCQ 3 से. You can mark it in your एग्जाम ऑल्सो ना. एंड MCQ आपका 1 और 2 आपका जो कि आपको बात की गई थी ट्रेड रिसीवेबल इन केस ऑफ एयरक्राफ्ट, तो ये भी आपका दोनों आप यहाँ पे मार्क कर सकते हैं कि दिस पर्टिकुलर सिनेरियो इज रिलेटिंग टू योर MCQ 1 and 2. From this scenario, MCQ 1 and 2 will flow, and from second scenario, MCQ 3 will flow. There was a question by somebody. Let me see. Given the vastness of this subject, how can, okay, Shyam Agarwal is asking, given the vastness of this subject, how can we as students identify and set expectations about which specific chapters or topics are more important? Okay, I'll cover this point, beta. I'll cover, we have not covered, we have covered in the previous session what are the main topics, ABC analysis, which we do, important topics that we have covered in first part of this BOS for Success webinar. If you want, we'll touch it upon after completing this mock test paper. Let's not break the flow and first complete the mock test paper case scenarios. Okay. Okay, so we saw that we were able to at least identify that first scenario relates to MCQ 1 and 2 and second scenario say आपका MCQ 3 flow कर रहा है. Okay, so we are moving here with MCQ 1. You found length of time between purchasing raw material to make the aircraft and the date the company completes the production and delivery is 9 months. What does Ind AS 1 says? Ind AS 1 para 66, 68 talks about classification into current and non-current. Okay. So students, para 6 will help you in understanding what is classifications, current asset, what are the criteria for current assets. If you want, let me just move on quickly to Ind AS 1 for also for you, so that you'll be able to, sorry. Okay, this is the website. I'm moving to the resources. See, instead of going to the Institute BoS Butcher, I'm moving to ICAI website. There I'll be navigating you to the bare text of the standards. Rather than going to the study material where you won't find the para easily, but here if you want, we can go through this also. Okay, let's go through the study material also. Ind AS 1 is in your module 1, that is your chapter 3. I'm simply searching operating cycle just for ease of coming to the relevant place. Okay. Okay. Operating. नहीं आया. See, this your para 66 of Ind AS 1 talks about. चला क्या क्या? नहीं. Okay. Para 66 of Ind AS 1 talks about, let me just zoom it out. Students, I hope it is visible to you now. It expects to realize the assets or intend to sell it in a normal operating cycle. Holds the asset primarily for the purpose of trading. Expect to realize the asset within 12 months. So first criteria is to asset should be realized within 12 months. Okay, within 12 months. The asset is cash or cash equivalent. Another criteria to identify what is the operating cycle here is the operating cycle of an entity is the time between the acquisition of assets for processing and the realization in cash and cash equivalents. This is very important. The beginning time and the end time. Acquisition of asset for purchase processing means raw material. Okay, if it is your manufacturing entity, raw material आप लेंगे उसे प्रोसेस करेंगे एंड देन यू विल कन्वर्ट इट इनटू फिनिश गुड्स एंड उस फिनिश गुड्स को बेचने और बेचने के बाद उसका पैसा मिलना, वो कैश और कैश इक्विवेलेंट में मिलना, उतना पूरा प्रोसेस जो टाइम लगता है वो आपका ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल है. ओके हियर, तो यहाँ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के केस में एक्विजिशन ऑफ एसेट्स फॉर प्रोसेसिंग है. इन केस ऑफ ट्रेडिंग कंपनी में एक्विजिशन ऑफ एसेट फॉर सेल है. ओके, so now we'll come back to our question paper. Here it was mentioned length of time between purchasing the raw material, making the aircraft, and the date the company completes the production and delivery is 9 months. So what you get is 9 months for production, and the company receives payment for the aircraft 7 months after the delivery. तो आपको कैश और कैश इक्विवेलेंट मिलने के लिए आपको another कितने month लग जाते हैं? 7 months. So total is 16 months पूरा प्रोसेस कंप्लीट होने में लगता है टू रियलाइज योर whatever process you have done to realize that in cash and cash equivalent. So what is the operating cycle? Length of the operating cycle will be 16 months. Okay, is it clear? Now 16 months में अगर आपको कुछ भी फॉल करता है, कोई भी एसेट आपका 16 मंथ्स में फॉल करेगा तो वो आपका क्या क्लासिफाई होगा? करंट एसेट. आपके पास एक क्राइटेरिया हमने पढ़ा था वहां पे कि 12 मंथ्स फ्रॉम द रिपोर्टिंग डेट अगर कोई चीज रियलाइज हो रही है तो भी वो क्लास करंट होती है. तो आपके पास 12 और 16 मंथ्स के बीच में कुछ भी है, 12 मंथ से कम है तो वैसे भी आप करंट मान ही रहे हैं क्योंकि लेस देन 12 मंथ्स है. पर अगर 12 मंथ से ज्यादा है पर 16 मंथ से कम है तो भी वो करंट माना जाएगा, बिकॉज इन दिस केस ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल इज ऑफ 16 मंथ्स, मोर देन 12 months. Okay, now we move on to the question again. Can you show how to go to the bare text of Ind AS once? Definitely, students. Let me complete this solution and then I'll show you how to move it there. Okay. So what is the length of operating cycle? This we have calculated. The length of operating cycle will be 16 months. What would be the classification of trade receivables in the balance sheet whose amount will be realized in 15 months? So what I said, कोई चीज 12 मंथ से ज्यादा है लेकिन 16 मंथ से कम है तो भी वो ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल के विद इन में आ रही है, इसलिए वो भी क्या क्लासिफाई होगी, करंट एसेट्स। तो यहाँ पे ट्रेड रिसीवेबल्स अगर आपके 15 मंथ्स में रियलाइज होने वाले हैं तो भी वो आपके क्या माने जाएंगे, क्लासिफाई क्या के होंगे, करंट एसेट्स में क्लासिफाई होंगे। तो इसलिए यह आंसर इज करंट। ओके, इन द बैंक whose amount will be realized in 15 months. Okay, now next question के लिए we'll move back to the scenario again. Let me erase it first. Okay, 1 and 2 we have completed. We are now moving to second one. A Limited provides advertising services to its customers. A Limited enters into a subcontract with multinational online video sharing company F Limited. Under the subcontract, F Limited places all of A Limited's customers adverts, means they have subcontracted with F Limited, and whatever advertisement contract which they get for its customers, they give it to F Limited. Every advertisement which is to be placed in online videos, that is placed through F Limited. Okay, A Limited notes the following. A Limited works directly with customers to understand their advertising needs before placing adverts. So who works directly? A Limited works directly with customers. A Limited is responsible for ensuring that advert meets the customer's needs after advert is placed. So who is responsible for ensuring that whatever requirement of the customer is, that is meeting out or not? A Limited is responsible. A Limited directs F Limited over which advert to take place and when to place it. See, वीडियो में, ऑनलाइन वीडियो में कौन लाएगा, एफ लिमिटेड लाएगा, लेकिन कब लाना है, कौन सा लाना है, विच एडवर्ट टू प्लेस, व्हेन टू प्लेस, हु विल डायरेक्ट, ए लिमिटेड विल डायरेक्ट. सो right now what we have seen in these three clauses, A Limited works directly with customers. A Limited is responsible for ensuring the correctness of the advertisement or meeting the expectations of the customers, and he directs F Limited what to do and when to do. Okay, okay. Now fourth point is A Limited does not bear inventory risk. A Limited does not bear inventory risk. For a person who has to recognize the revenue, they have to bear the risk and rewards also. So risk and reward के लिए यहाँ पे तो ये risk, inventory risk bear ही नहीं कर रहे हैं. A Limited does not have discretion in setting the price because fees are charged based on F Limited's scheduled rates. They are fixed rates by F Limited, so that rate only they have to comply with. So even if the rates are fixed by F Limited, even if the inventory risk is with not with A Limited, it's with F Limited, but A Limited has the power to control the adverts, what to place, when to place, what are the expectations, whether they are meeting the quality and the quantity of the adverts or not. Everything responsibility is with A Limited. So here in this case, we have to see what is the role of A Limited and what is the role of F Limited when we, in the case of recognizing the revenue from with which you are realizing it from the customer. कस्टमर के लिए आपने एडवर्टीजमेंट किया, कस्टमर से आपको पैसे मिलेंगे, अब उस पैसे को ए लिमिटेड कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज करेगा, एफ लिमिटेड कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज करेगा, बिकॉज मेन रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, मेन कंट्रोल इज विथ ए लिमिटेड. व्हाट डू यू फील, इज ए लिमिटेड अ प्रिंसिपल और एन एजेंट? Students, I want answer from you. Let's be participative. Try to just use your mind, try to understand ki what comes to your mind, whatever comes to your mind, even if it is wrong, let's attempt it. So what do you feel here, A Limited is a principal or not? He's not bearing the inventory risk. Okay, A will be principal. This Pratik is saying A will be principal. Any other one, any other student, any other student? A is not bearing the inventory risk. A is not having the discretion to set the price. Still, do you feel A Limited is principal? Okay. Palaniappan is also saying that A Limited will be principal. Okay, students, yes, you both are right. A Limited will be principal, even though he's not bearing the inventory risk, he's not having the discretion of fixing the price, but he is the person who is taking the contract, who is bringing the contract and say, let subletting. He is the person who is understanding the requirements and expectations of customer, and that he is passing out. He is controlling the advert quality, when and timing. So A Limited has substantial power of control, substantial control. That's why A Limited will be Principal, ma'am, I am appearing for group 2 only. Can I leave as of now and rejoin for DT, IDT and IBS? You can do that, beta, because we are, see, these BOS for success are not overlapping. We have taken care of any student who are appearing for both the groups. So they should not, they should be benefited for all the webinars. That's why the timings is 11 to 1 for group 1 and your 2 to 2 to 4 is for your group 2. Okay, so students, in case you are appearing for only one group and you want to see, whenever you're going to appear for group 1, at that time you want to see the webinar, you can, will be coming out with the webinars for that attempt also, so you can go through that also. Okay, so here definitely A limited is principal, because he is having the main power to control, main control over the adverts, timings and the quality, and responsible for all the adverts which are being online published. Okay, so A limited is a principal here. Now students, one question was Mr. from Palinappan. Let me first, let's go to the MCQ. Which of the following statement is correct with respect to entering into subcontract? A limited is an agent under this subcontract. A limited is a principal under this subcontract. Ind AS 115 is not applicable. Okay, so this is very clear. A limited is principal. Arrangement between A limited and F limited, whether principal or agent will not affect the amount of revenue to be recognized by A limited. Why this statement is mentioned and why the statement is wrong? Why we are saying it will not affect and we are saying नहीं, ये तो नहीं है. Ind AS 15115 तो applicable होगा इसमें, और इसको आइडेंटिफाई करना क्यों जरूरी है? Why it is important that कि आपको प्रिंसिपल और एजेंट का बाइफर्केशन करना है? Reason is that ये segregation will help in recognizing the amount of revenue. अगर आप एजेंट हैं, revenue recognition different होगा. अगर आप प्रिंसिपल है तो रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्निशन डिफरेंट होगा. इन केस ऑफ प्रिंसिपल, इन केस ऑफ प्रिंसिपल आप ग्रॉस रेवेन्यू रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं. मींस जितना कस्टमर ने दिया है वो पूरा पूरा आप रिकॉग्नाइज करोगे, पूरी वैल्यू. ठीक है. और इन केस ऑफ एजेंट आप सिर्फ कमीशन फीस करोगे और फी. Yes, Pratik, you are right. Principal will do gross recognition and agent will do net recognition. Net nahi, basically it's not net, it's fee or commission which they are charging for this. Okay, their services. Okay, students, let me first explain kar dein hum students ko bhi jaake. This is the main website, Palinapple, and students, those who are interested to go through the bare text of the accounting standards or Ind AS. ये आपका ICAI.org, this is your main website. If you go to the main website, here you will find home tab, overview, committee, members, students, and resources. Resources are whatever the publications, whatever the technical guidance which institute, not only Board of Studies, all the other departments which they have released, they are here compiled and reproduced here in under this particular tab, resources. In this tab, you will find, sorry, in this tab you will find account. I'll click this resources. Okay, you'll find accounting standards, companies rules applicable for this central government's Indian accounting standards, guidance notes, technical guides, impact study and research paper. Everything was technical publications are all reproduced here. Okay. Here you will find also, if you go to the left side, you will find engagement and quality control standards, recent opinions, EAC opinions, free download online publications, all are mentioned here. We have to see the Indian accounting standards. So I'm clicking Indian accounting standard. And in this Indian accounting standard, you will find compendium of second bullet, which is in compendium of Indian accounting standard. Again, compendium of Indian accounting standard. See, we have two volumes of Indian accounting standard. These are bare text. Volume one is from Ind AS 101 to Ind AS 106, and volume two is on from Ind AS 1 to Ind AS 41. Okay. There are two versions, HTML versions and PDF version. I am referring for HTML version. You can also download as per your convenience PDF version also. PDF version बिल्कुल जैसा बुक में प्रिंट हुआ है वैसे आएगा. HTML version में आपको क्रॉस रेफरेंसेस भी मिलेंगे, इसलिए we'll move to the HTML version. HTML version में if suppose क्योंकि we are talking about Ind AS 115, let's go to volume 1 because it was 101 से लेके इसमें. ठीक है. All the standards have a separate tab here. यहां से आप मूव ऑन करेंगे, आप यू विल फाइंड हियर 115. ओके, 115 के सारे स्टैंडर्ड्स का जो एक बेसिक ओवरव्यू है और उसके पैरा नंबर्स यहाँ मेंशन है इंडेक्स में, एंड देन द स्टैंडर्ड स्टार्ट्स. दीज आर द क्रॉस रेफरेंसेस. आपको जहां पे ब्लू हाइलाइट्स हैं, दीज ब्लू हाइलाइट्स इफ यू क्लिक यू कैन रीच टू द पर्टिकुलर डेफिनेशन, आपका यहाँ शॉर्ट में आ जाएगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने कस्टमर किया तो कस्टमर की डेफिनेशन कहाँ है, ये आपकी इंडेक्स बने, दे विल टेक यू डायरेक्टली टू that particular portion and you can come back by crossing this out. Okay, so this is the bare standard of all Ind AS. You can also similarly go for the bare text of accounting standard also in this under resource tab. Okay students, so we moved on to our first case scenario that is completed. We are moving to the second case scenario. Students, we are sorry. Second case scenario, again we'll first move to the MCQ part. Analyze the transactions mentioned above and choose the most appropriate option in below questions 4 to 8. So this case scenario have 5 MCQs. Earlier we were in case scenario 1, we were having 1, 2, 3, means 3 case scenarios. Here we are, sorry, 3 MCQs. Now we are having 5 MCQs here. At what value the property be reclassified on 30th September? Okay, so we are talking about reclassification of property. It may come to any asset based standard. It may be property की बात है, so definitely it may come at PP में आ सकता है आपका, और आपको किस पे आ सकता है, इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी में आ सकता है. रिक्लासिफिकेशन की बात चल रही है इसलिए अभी हमने इनकी बात की, हम साथ में हम इन्वेंट्री भी हो सकता है हमारे पास. ठीक है, क्योंकि रिक्लासिफिकेशन कहाँ से कहाँ हो रहा है वो हम सिनेरियो पढ़ेंगे, देन ओनली विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड. At what is the net realizable value of the property? So net realizable value, this concept is used in Ind AS 2 inventory. So आपको इससे ये भी कनेक्ट हो रहा है कि Ind AS inventory का कॉन्सेप्ट भी आपका यहाँ पे आ रहा है. Okay. At what value property all flats be shown in the balance sheet as on this? So again property की ही बात कर रहे हैं, तो या फिर आपका PPV और investment property. Let's see the scenario to understand it. Okay. And now seventh question is on state which of the following statement is correct with respect to Mr. A's investment in A Limited. And आपके ऑप्शन से आपको टर्म समझ में आ जाएगा. Is a related party, not a related party, and Mr. G is related. So we are talking about related party. And which is the standard for related property? Yes, Pratik, good. You understood my question. Good. So standard which should come to your mind is Ind AS 24, that is on related party. Okay. So two questions, both are related to related parties. So we are having two scenarios. It आपको एक understanding आ जाएगी कि there will be two scenarios. One may be on property and another on related party. Okay, let's move on to the scenario. X Limited is engaged in the construction industry and prepares its financial statements up to 31st March every year. On 1st April 20X1, X Limited purchased a large property consisting of land, only land, for rupees 2 crore and immediately began to lease the property to Y Limited on an operating lease. Annual rentals were, so पिक्चर में और एक क्या चीज आ गई आपकी यहाँ पे, Ind AS 116 also. Okay. On an operating lease. Annual rentals were 20 lakh per annum. On 31st March 20X5, the fair value of the property was 2 crore 60 lakhs. Under the terms of the lease, Y Limited was able to cancel the lease by giving 6 months notice in writing to X Limited. Y Limited gave this notice on 31st March 20X5 and vacated the property on 30th September 20X5. ये डेट हमने पढ़ी MCQ में. We have gone through this particular date in your MCQ1, MCQ4, sorry. So this we have to take care. Y Limited gave this notice on this. On 30th September, the fair value of the property was 2 crore 90 lakhs. Okay, then we moved on to 1st October. So 1st October, sorry, we are not there for 1st October. So I'm not talking about, we stopped here. हम यहाँ तक के सिनेरियो से हम पहला MCQ, we can reply the first MCQ of the scenario, this case scenario. At what value the property be reclassified as on 30th September? तो 30th September तक की हमें वैल्यूएशन करनी है, हमें आगे नहीं मूव करना. तो हम यहाँ तक में ही आ गए. हमने यहाँ पे देखा what was the cost initially, 2 crores. Okay. They began to lease it. इस पे कोई कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं किया. प्रॉपर्टी वॉज कंसिस्टिंग ऑफ लैंड, तो लैंड पे हम डेप्रिशिएशन भी नहीं करते हैं. लैंड हमेशा कॉस्ट पे हमारी बुक्स में अपेयर करेगा. सो यहाँ पे हमें फेयर वैल्यू इज नॉट यूज इन केस ऑफ, बिकॉज दिस प्रॉपर्टी इज गिवन फॉर लीज, सो इट विल बी क्लासिफाइड एज taking benefit from the assets by leasing it. So it is an investment property. Investment property हमेशा आपकी cost पे value होगी. It will not never be valued at fair value until and unless it is an investment property. Okay. Sorry, it is reclassified from investment property to some other category. Till the time it is investment property, it will be valued at cost. Fair valuation आप करेंगे, fair valuation का disclosure करेंगे आप, लेकिन आपकी balance sheet में जो appear करेगा, that will be only cost. Okay. So at the time of purchase it was 2 lakh. Depreciation होता नहीं, sorry, 2 crore. तो 2 crore ही आपका continue होगा. You are not supposed to do any depreciation here. So even it is of 1st April, your 31st March 2000 X2 to 3 X 31st March 2000 X4, 31st March X5, your cost will be 2 crore only. Okay. So on 31st March, the fair value of the property is 2 crore 60 lakh. नॉट रिक्वायर्ड, क्योंकि इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी हमेशा कॉस्ट पे वैल्यू नहीं है, ऑलवेज इट इज वैल्यूड एट कॉस्ट. सो irrespective of what is the fair value in your balance sheet, it will always appear at cost. Under the terms of the lease, Y Limited was able to cancel the lease by giving 6 months notice in writing to X Limited. Okay, Y Limited gave the notice on 31st March, 6 months बाद, that is 30th September, 31st March से 30th September 6 months होते हैं. 30th September को they have vacated the property, but on 30th September ऑन रिक्लासिफिकेशन, हमने ऑन उसी डेट पे हमने इसको रिक्लासिफिकेशन किया. बट बिकॉज इट वाज इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी, एज पर इंड एस 40, एनी ट्रांसफर फ्रॉम इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रॉपर्टी टू एनी अदर कैटेगरी, इधर पीपीई और इन्वेंट्री, इट विल कैरी एट द सेम वैल्यू. वैल्यू चेंज नहीं होगी. जो बैलेंस शीट में वैल्यू है दैट इज गोइंग टू बी कंटिन्यू. तो कौन सी वैल्यू कंटिन्यू हो रही होगी हमारी बुक्स में? कॉस्ट, एंड कॉस्ट वाज 2 crore. Okay. So this is the cost which is going to continue even when the investment property is reclassified from investment property to property, plant and equipment or inventory. So first question, at what value the property be reclassified on 30th September? It will be 2 crore. Okay. Clear, students? Now we are moving to second part on 1st October. We are starting here from, now we are starting with, let me just go with another color. Okay, now we are starting here on 1st October 2000 X5. X Limited immediately began to convert the property into 10 separate flats of equal size, which X Limited intend to sell in the ordinary course of business. When you are selling any property in ordinary course of business, what is that for you? Is it a property, plant and equipment or inventory, or it will continue as investment? Students, I just want your answers. Please be participative. Otherwise, it will be very monotonous for me also and for you also. So, when any asset is intended to be sold in ordinary course of its business, what will be its classification? Good. Inventory. It will be inventory. So here now the reclassification from investment property is to inventory. X Limited spent total of 60 lakh on this conversion project between 30th September to 31st March. So now the cost will be 2 crore. Further cost you have incurred for property, that is your 60 lakh. Okay. On 31st March 20x6, the cost of the, what is the cost of the property for you? 2 crore 60 lakhs. The project was incomplete. It is not yet completed. It was incomplete at 31st March 2006, and the directors of X Limited estimate that they need to spend a further of 40 lakh to complete the project. After which each flat would be sold for 50 lakh. Each flat. See here, we are not talking about land. We are talking about flat. फ्लैट 50 होंगे, तो हमने कितने फ्लैट्स में ब्रेक किया था? इंफॉर्मेशन थी हमारे पास यहाँ पे, इनटू 10 सेपरेट फ्लैट्स. 50 लाख का अगर एक फ्लैट है तो हमारा टोटल वैल्यू कितनी होगी 10 फ्लैट्स की? 5 crore. 5 crore is the selling price. This is the, what we say, this is your एडिशनल कॉस्ट और कॉस्ट टू सेल। सो कॉस्ट टू सेल में यहाँ पे 40 लाख एक्स्ट्रा लगेगा, तो आपकी नेट रिलायजेबल वैल्यू क्या आ जाएगी आपकी? 4,60,000। नाउ सिंस द क्लासिफिकेशन आपका इन्वेंट्री में हुआ है, तो कॉस्ट और एनआरवी विच एवर इज लेस, आप बाय दिस वैल्यू आप इसको रिकॉग्नाइज करोगे। तो 2,60,00,000 एंड 4,60,00,000 विच एवर इज लेस, डेफिनेटली 2,60,00,000 is less. So your inventory on 31st March 2006 will value at 2,60,00,000. Okay, now let's see what are the questions. What is the net realizable value of the property? We have already found out 4,60,00,000. And at what value the property will shown in the balance sheet? तो obviously cost or NRV whichever is less, तो NRV आपकी ज्यादा है 4,60 crores and your and cost is 2,60,00,000, so it will valued at 2,60,00,000. So your answer NRV 4,60,00,000 and it will be valued at 2,60,00,000. Hope students this particular part of scenario case scenarios are clear. Okay, yes, right, Jyoti. Cost or NRV whichever is less. Now let's move on to the second scenario. Let me rub it first. Okay, this will work, no? We move on to some. Let's take another color. Okay. Analyze the transaction. Mr. A is a domestic partner of Mr. Ma'am. It's work in progress. Therefore, cost or NRV. Yes, Pratik. Cost or NRV. It's work in progress. It's an inventory because you are going to sell it, na? Though it is under cursor, it will be your cost or NRV. Analyze the transactions mentioned above and choose the most appropriate option in the below questions 4 to 8 in line with the relevant Ind AS. Sorry, I have to read second scenario. Mr. A is a domestic partner of Miss B. Mr. A has an investment in X Limited and Miss B has an investment in Z Limited. So if we see in case of related party, strongly recommend that you should prepare a chart. फ्लो आपको पता होना चाहिए, ये बहुत इजी होता है रिलेशंस को समझने के लिए। तो अगर हम यहाँ पे रिलेशन बनाते हैं तो मिस्टर ए मिस्टर बी के क्या है? डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर है। ओके, अब मिस्टर ए ने इन्वेस्ट कहाँ कर रखा है? एक्स लिमिटेड में। मिस बी ने कहाँ कर रखा है? जेड लिमिटेड। ठीक है, ये चार्ट आपको बनाना चाहिए, इससे ना आपको रिलेटेड पार्टी रिलेशन बनाना इजी रहेगा। ये मिस बी ने जो कर रखा था इन्वेस्टमेंट किया हुआ है जेड लिमिटेड में। नाउ वी मूव ऑन टू ओनली दिस मच इंफॉर्मेशन इज प्रोवाइडेड बेस्ड ऑन विच वी हैव प्रिपेयर्ड अ चार्ट। क्वेश्चन इज state which of the following statement is correct with respect to Mr. A's investment in X Limited। ठीक है, ये दोनों सिनेरियो के लिए हम यहाँ पे एक बार फिर से चार्ट बना लेते हैं। ए बी पार्टनर है, इन्वेस्टमेंट इन एक्स लिमिटेड। बी की इन्वेस्टमेंट किस में है? वाई लिमिटेड में, सॉरी जेड लिमिटेड में। ओके, Question number 7. State which of the following statement is correct. Mr. A is not a related party to X Limited even if it controls X Limited. Why? If I control any entity, I am related party to that. Na? So this statement is straightforwardly incorrect. Even if he is controlling, why he will not be a related party? He has to be a related party. So this statement is wrong. Z Limited is related party to X Limited. They are saying about this particular portion. Okay. They are talking about this particular portion, ki whether they are related or not. Z Limited is related to X Limited if Mr. A controls X Limited, but Miss B does not control. She is not controlling, but he is controlling. But he is controlling whom? Mr. A is controlling X Limited. तो एक्स लिमिटेड के साथ उसकी तो रिलेटेड पार्टी रिलेशनशिप आ जाती है, लेकिन जेड लिमिटेड के साथ रिलेटेड पार्टी रिलेशनशिप लाने के लिए क्या जरूरी है? यहाँ आपके पार्टनर है तो ये तो चलो ठीक है, लेकिन अगर ये कंट्रोल नहीं कर रही है तो ये पार्टी नहीं होंगी, तो ये भी, इन दोनों का इस रिलेशन से कोई मतलब नहीं है। इनका भी जॉइंट कंट्रोल होना जरूरी था। ईदर कंट्रोल और जॉइंट कंट्रोल जब तक नहीं होगा बी का जेड लिमिटेड से, ए का इनडायरेक्ट रिलेशन भी नहीं स्टैब्लिश हो पाएगा। ठीक है, दो ए इज अ डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर ऑफ मिस बी, but because Miss B is not having a control on Z Limited, there will no relation or no related party between A Limited and Z Limited. Okay, so this statement is also wrong. Z Limited is related party to X Limited if Mr. A controls, Mr. A control करते हैं, and मिस बी ऑल्सो कंट्रोल्स जेड लिमिटेड, यानी ये इनको कंट्रोल कर रही है, ये इनको कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं, पर दोनों क्योंकि डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर, तो डेफिनेटली इनडायरेक्ट related party relationship established हो जाता है. So this statement is correct. Now let's move on to fourth part also. Mr. A is not a related party to X Limited, but Miss B is a related party to X Limited. जब ये इसके related party नहीं है तो ये कैसे हो सकती है ना? Okay. Until and unless why Miss B will be related party only because A is also related party. If A ही नहीं है related party तो B भी नहीं होंगे. तो somewhere ये statement और ये statement आपका लिंक्ड है. ठीक है, अगर एक नहीं है तो आपका डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर भी रिलेटेड पार्टी नहीं होगा. मैं ही नहीं हूं किसी के रिलेटेड पार्टी तो मेरे डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर भी नहीं होगा. ओके, नेक्स्ट मूव ऑन टू सेकंड पार्ट. मूव ऑन टू वी वाला. State which of the following statement is correct if Mr. A and Miss B only have significant influence over respective X limited and Z limited. See, significant influence का मतलब क्या हुआ? Associates. Significant influence means associates हो जाते हैं, आपका कंट्रोल नहीं आ रहा. To establish a relationship related party के लिए आपका दो associates के बीच में रिलेशनशिप कब आएगा? दो एसोसिएट्स कब जाके आपकी रिलेट होंगी? जब भाई डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर से कंट्रोल हो रही है? नहीं, एसोसिएट्स के रिलेशंस नहीं आते रिलेटेड पार्टी रिलेशनशिप में, इवन बिकॉज क्योंकि आपके जो कंट्रोल करने वाला है या जिनकी सिग्निफिकेंट इन्फ्लुएंस है उनका कोई डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर है. तो इवन इफ यू हैव सिग्निफिकेंट इन्फ्लुएंस एंड आप उसके डोमेस्टिक पार्टनर वो है, आपका कंट्रोल नहीं बन स्टैब्लिश हो रहा, इसलिए रिलेटेड पार्टी रिलेशनशिप भी नहीं आएगा यहाँ पे. State which of the following statement is correct if Mr. A and Mr. B, Miss B only have significant influence over respective X limited and Z limited. तो X limited and Z limited are related party? No, क्योंकि यहाँ तो significant है. और ये आपस में कैसे होंगे? जब इनके कंट्रोल नहीं है तो ये नहीं हो पाएगा, इनका कंट्रोल नहीं है तो ये नहीं हो पाएंगे. बी का कंट्रोल नहीं है तो ए नहीं आएगा, ए का कंट्रोल नहीं था एक्स लिमिटेड पे, इसलिए बी से भी रिलेशनशिप नहीं आती. X limited and Z limited are not related party definitely, क्योंकि कंट्रोल नहीं है तो they both are not related party. Mr. A is related party to Z. इनडायरेक्ट रिलेशन के लिए भी यहाँ पे कंट्रोल होना जरूरी है, तो नहीं हो सकता. मिस्टर बी का एक्स के साथ ये भी नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि इनका अपना खुद का कंट्रोल नहीं है, सिग्निफिकेंट इन्फ्लुएंस है, कंट्रोल नहीं है. ओके, तो इन दैट केस or your correct option is option B. Okay, so students, till now we have completed two case scenarios. Now let's move on to case scenario 3. Sorry. Any question there? So students, now let's move on to case scenario 2 and Tanya will take over and she'll cover case scenario 3. Okay.
Students, let's move on to case scenario 3. Firstly, we will move on to the questions which we are required to answer. So the question says that analyze the transaction mentioned above and choose the most appropriate option in the below question 9 to 13. So these 5 questions relate to case scenario 3. Ninth question is what will be the initial amount of prepaid lease payment in the lease contract to be recognized by G Limited. So in this question, we are required to calculate the prepaid lease payments. Next, in question 10, What will be the amount of interest income on security deposit to be recognized in the financial statement? So this questions relate to calculation of interest income on security deposits. Next is calculating the goodwill capital reserves on the date of acquisition. So these questions relate to the calculation of goodwill and capital reserve. What will be the G limited share in the profit and other comprehensive income? Will calculate in question 12. And in 13, what will be the closing balance of the investment in R Limited at the end of year in book of G Limited? So for this, let's move on to the case scenarios. So case scenario third is G Limited is currently engaged in different business segments and is also looking to expand its operation overseas. G Limited is also exploring investments from an overseas investor to carry out the expansion plan. So the first is G Limited has made an interest-free security deposit. So the question is saying that G Limited made interest-free security deposit. So it means it's related to Ind AS 109 against a lease of 5 years, redeemable at the end of lease term, when market interest rate for a deposit for similar period was 12% per annum. Following are the details given for the deposit made by G Limited. See, G Limited has made a security deposit. So for this, a security deposit become a financial asset. It means the person who is giving the deposit will become a financial asset for that person, and who is taking deposit, it will become the financial liability. So the date of security deposit they had entered in 1st April 2020x1, and date of security finishing date is 31st March 20x2, yani 5 year period. Discount rate is 12%, security deposit is 10 lakh, and present value factor is this. So the students, for G Limited, it will become a financial asset. So it will calculated at present value. Present value will be 10 lakh multiply the present value factor, which is given in the question, that is 0.567427. So means the financial asset value will be 567427. But as required in question, what we are required to calculate the prepaid lease payment. So student, we are giving it as an interest free security deposit, means we are not receiving any interest, so it will be loss for the loss for G Limited, but this loss will be treated as a advance rent. So that is a advance rent, that is prepaid lease payment. So the remaining amount, what is the amount? That is 10 lakh minus 5 lakh 67,427. That that arises to be 4,32,573. So this amount will be recognized as a prepaid lease payment. Next, we are required to calculate the interest income. In question number 10, what will be the amount of interest income on security deposit? So we have calculated that financial asset amount is 5,67,427. So interest income will be calculated on this amount, but at which rate? At market rate of interest, that is 12% per annum. So interest income will calculated at 5,67,427 multiplied by 12%. So that arises to be 68,091. So that will be answer of our question number 10. So in question 9, what will be the initial amount of prepaid lease payment? That is 4,32,573. And what will be the amount of interest income? We have calculated 68,091. In the next question, we are required to calculate goodwill capital reserve. Let's for this move on to second case scenarios. G Limited acquired 25%. So in second scenario, G Limited acquired 25% of equity share of R Limited on the first day of the financial year, that is for 1,25,000. So it means they have made investment in associate. So for associate, which Ind AS is applicable? Ind AS 28. So Ind AS 28 says that Initially, the investment value will be recognized at post, but it will be subject to certain adjustments. Like we will adjust in this post acquisition profits. We will make we will calculate goodwill capital reserve, or we will do certain fair value adjustments. So G Limited acquired 25% at 1,25,000. This is a cost of investment. As of the date, carrying value and the net asset of R Limited is 3 lakh and fair value is 4 lakh. So for calculating goodwill, we will take fair value. Fair value is 4 lakh. And how much percentage we have acquired? 25%. So the value, net asset value will be 1 lakh. And the cost of investment which we have made, that is 1,25,000. So how much goodwill will arise? That is 25,000. Next, the excess of fair value over the carrying value was attributable to one of the buildings. See, in CFS we have taken fair value, that is 4 lakh. But in books of R Limited, its carrying value to be 3 lakh. So this difference 1 lakh is due to the carrying value was attributable to one of the building. This is due to the building. So this gap 1 lakh will be allocated to the remaining useful life of 20 years. So 1 lakh will be distributed in 20 years, that is 5,000 per annum. This is the fair value adjustments which we are required to do in associates profit, because the in consolidation we have taken 4 lakh, but in books of R Limited the value is 3 lakh. So the R Limited is unaware of the fair value. R Limited earn a profit of 40,000 and other comprehensive income of 10,000. Now the question, 11th question says that calculate the goodwill capital reserve. So we have calculated goodwill is 25,000. Now we are required to calculate the share in profit and OCI. We have seen the profit given is 40,000, but this 40,000 is unadjusted, or you can say it's before adjustments of the fair value. So in this 40,000, we will adjust this 5,000 for calculating the post acquisition profit due to consolidation purpose. So we will subtract this 5,000, that around to be 35,000. On this 35,000, we will calculate our share, that is 25%. These amounts to be 8,750. So this will added in the value of investments. And also there is a given comprehensive income. On comprehensive income, that is 10,000. On this also we will calculate 25%, that is 2,500. Now the question asks, what will be the share in profit and other comprehensive income? That is, we have calculated 8,750 and 2,500. That is, our correct answer is D. Now, the next question is, what is the closing balance of the investment? So for this, we are required to take cost of investment. Cost of investment, that is 1 lakh. We will add value of goodwill. Value of goodwill arises to be 25,000. Next is post acquisition profit after adjusting the fair value adjustments, that come around to be 8,750. Next is comprehensive income. हमने अपना share calculate कर लिया, that is 2,500. So this will around to be 1,36,250. So the correct answer is B. So this is all about the R case scenario third.
Okay. So students, by this we have covered our third scenario also. Any question? Okay, students, hope it is clear to you. Now we'll move on to our question number 14. As I told you that it is not necessary that all the questions will be from the case scenarios, from one case scenario. There may be some caselets also. Caselets means small case scenarios from which only one MCQ is flowing. There'll be a there'll be a scenario, but only with one MCQ. Okay. So question number 14 is similar to that. There's a scenario based on which we have to only reply a single MCQ. So let's move on to question number 14. X Limited is a first time adopter of Ind AS. The date of transition is 1st April 2000 X1. It has given 200 stock options to its employees. Out of these, 75 options have vested on 30th November 20 X2 and the remaining 125 will vest on 30th November 20 X1. Which of the following options are available to X Limited at the date of transition? So we have to inform, we have to apply when we talk about Ind AS 1, when we talk about, sorry, when we talk about uh, when we talk about date of transition in that is date of transition, which standard comes to our mind? Ind AS 101. Pratik, is you are very quick. Good. So it is Ind AS 101. When we talk about transition, Ind AS 101 will be applied, and for 101 we have to go through share based payment wala guidance, which is there in your appendix B, sorry, D. So out of these 75 options have vested. See, let me just first move on to Ind AS 101, what it talks about in case of share-based payment. At a time of transition, if we are having some share-based payment, जिसकी vesting already transition के पहले हो चुकी है, some share-based payments whose vesting has already taken place in your before transition, there is a separate, there are two options in such a case. Ind AS 101 provides you two options. And in case of options which are not vested on the date of transition, or it will be vested after transition, in that situation, you have to compulsorily follow Ind AS 102. So for share-based options, where vesting of which is to take place even after transition, 102 is to be applied. So वहां तो कोई ऑप्शन है नहीं, वहां पे तो आपको 102 करना है. बट जहां पे आपको 102 दो ऑप्शन देता है, वो क्या है? इन केस ऑफ द इन share based payments which have already vested before transition. Okay, so before transition, we were talking about which of the following options are available to X Limited. 75, there were two types of options. One was out of 200 options में हमारे पास दो कैटेगरी थी, 75 options and 125. 75 की वेस्टिंग कंप्लीट हो चुकी थी, वेस्टेड थे, और ये नॉन वेस्टेड है ऑन डेट ऑफ ट्रांजिशन. ओके, तो इसके लिए तो सीधा है 102 अप्लाई करना है. सो दिस इज करेक्ट. हाँ, वो 75 वी हैव टू ऑप्शंस. वन इज दैट कि so if whatever options which have already vested at a time of transition, they have to उसमें आप you can apply Ind AS 102. You can apply Ind AS 102, but there is one condition that the entity has disclosed publicly the fair value of those equity instruments at the time of measurement date. At measurement date. So what is the measurement date? Somebody wants to ask something? Who unmute किया किसी ने? Okay, so 75 options which are already vested before transition, in that case, they can apply Ind AS 102. Entity can apply Ind AS 102 in case, only in case when they have publicly disclosed the fair value of those equity instruments at the measurement date. Measurement date as per Ind AS 102, definition of measurement date is given in Ind AS 102. Based on that, measurement date क्या होगा? जो आपका grant date पे जब measure किया है, तब उस समय पे आपने publicly disclose किया था कि नहीं किया था. अगर आपने किया है तो you can apply 102. Second is that since they are already vested before date of transition, so Ind AS 101 gives you an relaxation, that exemption, that you are not supposed to apply 102. If entity wish, they can exempt it from applying Ind AS 102. So your option A is also correct, and your in case of 75 options, both the options are given under Ind AS 101. So both are correct. Okay, students. So 75 options that vested before the date of transition has to apply 102. This is also correct. Only provided it has disclosed publicly the fair value of those equity instruments determined at measurement. So this is correct. This is the option given by Ind AS 101. Similarly, for 75 options, sorry, not similarly, at the same time, Ind AS 101 also gives the option if entity does not wish to apply Ind AS 102, then they can get the exemption because the shares were already, these share-based options were already vested before date of transition. So this is also an option provided by Ind AS 101. So this is also correct statement. Now, with respect to these were the two options which were provided for 75 share-based options. For remaining 125 options, they were not vested, and in case when they are not vested at a time of transition, you have to compulsorily follow Ind AS, you have to apply Ind AS 102. So X Limited will need to account for the same as per Ind AS 102. Fine. This option is also correct. So the correct option for this particular statement is all of the above. Clear, students? Hope it is clear. Next is a chartered accountant might face a situation in which complying with carrying value or remeasurement. Rishabh, I'm not clear with your question. What is carrying value and what do you exactly want to know? Okay, let's move on to question number 15. A chartered accountant might face a situation in which complying with Achha, okay, Rishabh, you are answering the question. Fine, that's okay. A chartered accountant might face a situation in which complying with one fundamental principle conflicts with complying with one or other fundamental principles. In such a situation, the accountant might consult with. See, when when you are a chartered accountant and you have been given an engagement to do the audit of any financial statements or any particular entity, and you find there are a situation where there two scenarios may be two standards may be equally applicable, or two fundamental principles have a different conflict. If you are going with this principle, then you are violating or you are somewhere conflicting with the other principle, or other way around, vice versa, you are following second principle, then there is a conflict for first principle. In such situation, you have to find out a way out. So what will be the way out? This you have to, you are not able to come to a conclusion. In such a situation, the accountant might consult with those charged with governance. Those charged with governance means uh, those who are releasing the pronouncements, those who are giving the guidance. For example, for GST commission is giving, for direct tax there is a CBDT is there, for SEBI is there, for government, any government pronouncements are there which you can refer, for Ministry of Corporate Affairs have given acts and all. So these are those charged with governance. You can consult them. You can also go through ICAI for their opinion. Like we have expert advisory committees. From there, you can seek the guidance and opinion, and accordingly you can apply it. Legal counsel, in case of some, there are some consultants also who give this legal advice in such a situation based on acts and something that you may consult them also. So those who are charged with governance, those institute, because you are a chartered accountant, you can seek guidance from institute through proper channels or legal counsel. So all anybody who has that authority to give the guidance, and their comply or their guidance will be acceptable by the all, that from those people you can take from those organizations you can take the guidance. So irrespective, even if you are taking the guidance, ultimate responsibility will be of chartered accountant only, who is exercising, because he is aware of all the scenarios, all the situations, all the documents, and based on the guidance you have taken from governance, institute of chartered accountants or legal counsel, you are applying that, you are applying your own judgment. You are taking the guidance and you are applying own judgment. So ultimate responsibility will be all, but you can seek the guidance from any of the above. So these, the correct option is your any of the above, because you can take any of the guidance from any of the above, because they are authoritative organizations. Okay. So students, by this we have ended your our MTP 1. Students, before going to mock test paper 1, that is for March, one question I remember a student asked regarding that ABC analysis. No?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? So let me move on to the PPT. First, we'll discuss those important topics, and in case if time permits, we'll move to mock test paper 1. Okay? ABC analysis. Students, one point which we have, I guess I have not discussed last time also, there were typical errors. Some standards में कुछ confusions हमेशा ही students को होते हैं. That also we'll discuss. First, let's go with the ABC analysis and then we'll come to this typical errors also. Okay. This I believe Tanya will take care. No? Go slow.
So students, let's discuss the ABC analysis. ABC analysis comprises three categories. That is category A, B and C. So category A consists of Ind AS 1110, that is consolidation, Ind AS 103 business combination, Ind AS 109, that is financial instrument, Ind AS 115 revenue, Ind AS 102 share based payments, Ind AS 116 leases, and analysis of financial statement. So student, this category is the most crucial category. You cannot avoid, you cannot skip this Ind AS. These are the most important Ind AS you have to cover. And while you are preparing, means this is a crucial time. You are standing here. So you first to cover these Ind AS. When you cover this, you are covering a main portion of your exam, and you will get a confidence that you will, you will get a passing marks. You will you will not tensed about you are going to pass or not. So this is a category A is the most important category, and this is a major Ind AS. Firstly, you cover these Ind AS, then you move on to.
So I just want to add one thing in this. See, students, if you see, the entire syllabus has been bifurcated into different sections. Section-wise weightage is already there in the study on your website. That I'll show you right now over the link also. Section-wise weightage is given. Every section has a range of weightage. Okay, so if you go through that section wise weightage or the guidance, that document, you'll find that there are certain sections which have high weightage. Okay, and if we go through the past trend of the question paper also, there also you'll find that independent question or compulsory question or every time question is asked from these topics. In days 110, like student asked us that from past few examination, it is observed that the first compulsory question is on consolidation or business combination. So it means one question of 14 marks, and that too a compulsory question is being asked from this particular topic. That is the reason we have kept it as a category A topic. Okay. Financial instrument, there's separate section only for financial instruments, and when there's a separate section for financial instruments, so financial instrument में से तो एक क्वेश्चन आएगा ही आएगा क्योंकि वो सेक्शन उसको डिवोटेड है. सेक्शन वाइज कंप्लायंस एग्जाम में होती है. So that's why financial instrument has also been placed in category A list. The one question of 10 marks along with 2 or 3 questions in your MCQs will be asked in your examination. So almost 14 से 16 marks का question तो आपका इससे पूछा जाएगा. Okay, then comes revenue. Section 2 and have only one standard, that is Ind AS 115 revenue from contract with customers. So this standard has been placed in category A because this is a single standard in particular section, and section wise compliance होगी तो एक question तो आएगा ही आएगा इससे. Okay, so that's why it is the category A standard. Share based payment, leases, they have other standards also. The section covers more than one standard, but often इसमें से question जो आते हैं वो बड़े आते हैं. Bigger weightage is provided to these standards. That is why we have kept it as an important category list. Okay. Analysis of financial statement, again, analysis of financial statement, if you prepare this particular topic, you will be having an idea of all the other standards, because this is not any particular standard. This is mix of all the standards when integrated and applied in one preparation of financial statement or in a scenario how you are able to conclude. So that is the reason this is also considered as your category list.
So student, let's move on to the category B. कैटेगरी बी हमारी ऐसी कैटेगरी है, इसमें से आपको अल्टरनेट मींस किसी ना किसी इंडिया से मिल ही जाएंगे हमारे इसमें एग्जाम में क्वेश्चंस. इसमें कवर होता है इंडिया 36, दैट इज इम्पेयरमेंट, इंडिया 33 इन अर्निंग पर शेयर, इंडिया 37 प्रोविजंस कंटीजेंट लायबिलिटी एंड एसेट, India 21 effect of changes in forex rate, India 113 that is fair value measurement, India 23 that is borrowing cost, India 16 property plant and equipment, India 7 cash flow statements, India 10 events after reporting period, and प्रोफेशनल एंड एथिकल ड्यूटी ऑफ अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट, इंड AS 12 इनकम टैक्स। सो ये भी आप अवॉइड नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि इसमें मतलब ऑल्टरनेट हमारे जो है एग्जाम में क्वेश्चंस आते रहते हैं।
So one more thing, students, these are it plays in second category because every alternate you will find one of the second question from this. These are important topics again because of the weightage when they are appearing in your question paper. The weightage of these topics are higher. Okay, so for example, if a question on impairment comes in your examination question paper, it will definitely be of at least 8 marks. So that is why it has been placed in category B. Similarly, a question from earning per share, if it appears in your examination question paper, it will again be of somewhere 7 to 8 marks. That is the reason why we have placed it in this category B. Okay.
Some more Ind AS are.
This is basically category C. We just
Yes.
read as category C.
So in category C there are more Ind AS which you firstly cover category A and B. When you are covered this, then you move on to category C. And if you are reading the concepts only, then it will be sufficient for category C if you have not enough time. So category C cover Ind AS 34 interim financial reporting, Ind AS 20 accounting for government grant, Ind AS 38 intangible asset, Ind AS 19 employee benefit expense, Ind AS 2 inventories, Ind AS 8 accounting policies changes in accounting estimates, Ind AS 40 investment property, Ind AS 101 first time adoption, Ind AS 105 non-current asset held for sale, Ind AS 24 related party disclosure, Ind AS 1 presentation of financial statement. Next is conceptual framework for financial reporting. Next, introduction to Ind AS. Next is accounting and technology. Ind AS 41 agriculture. Ind AS 108 operating segments. Ind AS 20 investment in associates and joint venture. Ind AS 111 that is joint arrangements. So this is our category C.
See, students, though we are this is category C, even though we are placing it in category C, it doesn't mean that you have to skip the standard. Okay. It doesn't mean that you have to skip this standard. You have to study this, but at the time of revision or closer to examination, when you are closer to examination, the priority will be your category, should be your category A and category B. And if you have prepared or you have done the revision of category A and category B, then definitely go with category C, though it is third priority, but it is also equally important. You, when you are preparing for examination, when you are targeting, you have to be 100% prepared. 100% you have to attempt, so that even if you get 50 plus marks, you'll be passed. Okay, so पूरा करके जाएंगे, तैयारी पूरी करके आएंगे, अटेम्प्ट करके, तो आपको 50% क्यों नहीं मिलेगा? ठीक है, तो इसीलिए छोड़ना नहीं है, बट हाँ, सीक्वेंस हमने जो दिया है प्रायोरिटी के लिए, दैट इज द रीजन वी हैव कैटेगराइज्ड इनटू category A, B, C. We are not some anywhere mentioning that you can skip this particular these topics. Okay. Rest is, this is our suggestion, a disclaimer we would like to say, this is our suggestion, but आप एक ट्रेंड एनालिसिस जरूर करिए पिछले एग्जामिनेशन में से कि किसके क्वेश्चंस कैसे आते हैं, पुराने सजेस्टर्स जरूर देखिए, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आरटीपीज आर वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड. करंट आरटीपी आप स्टडी गाइडलाइंस के लिए देखिए, अपनी प्रिपरेशन आपकी हो चुकी है, आपने गुड नंबर ऑफ प्रैक्टिस करी है, देन यू कैन रेफर करंट आरटीपी. अदरवाइज प्रीवियस अटेम्प्ट्स की आरटीपीज तो देखनी है. देयर इज मोर probability that questions from previous RTPs may come in the examination rather than the current RTP. Current RTP is to understand your preparation level, where you are standing. If any new kind of question is given to you, are you able to attempt it or not? Okay, so that gives you an idea. Mock test paper help you in many ways. Time management under examination conditions आप कर रहे हैं, स्पीड टाइम्स, आपकी स्पीड चेक करने के लिए, आपकी जो नर्व कंट्रोल है उसके लिए, आपको प्रैक्टिस के लिए. देयर आर मेनी वेज ऑफ लर्निंग द कॉन्सेप्ट. वन इज when you study the concepts, you review the videos. Another is when you are questioning, attempting number of questions. आप उसके प्रोविजंस को बार बार अप्लाई करने से भी आपको वो प्रोविजन याद हो जाता है. ठीक है, तो और समझ में भी आ जाता है. तो दैट इज ऑल्सो द वे कि मॉक टेस्ट पेपर्स आपको दोनों तरह से, आपको बोथ वे आपको सर्व करेंगे. ओके. ओके स्टूडेंट्स, सम इंडिया स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट्स भी कैन, जैसे इंडिया 23 का क्वेश्चन अगर आता है ना, तो स्टूडेंट्स एक कॉमन एरर वी व्हाट वी आर नोटिस. Okay, there's a question by one student, how to prepare for chapter professional and ethical duty. See, students, professional and ethical duty, because we are having in group 1 audit paper also. In detail, all the professional and ethics and ethical duty, whatever details are there regarding your chartered accountant X, what are the penalties attracted in case you're not following professional ethical duty, everything is covered in your auditing paper. So we have not reproduced that in our accounting paper, but we have applied those provisions when you are doing your preparing the financial statements in the real life. A chartered accountant once qualified, either in practice or in service, when they are dealing with the financial statements, they have to be ethically correct, morally correct when they are doing applying the provisions of the standards. Here what is important is how to prepare for the standard is basic. I am taking it as how you are going to attempt the answers. Whenever scenario is given to you, first see what is the provision in the relevant standard. Ind AS में क्या provision दिया है, आप उसको थोड़ा सा डिस्कस करके फिर जो सिनेरियो है उस सिनेरियो में ये प्रोविजन कैसे हुआ, जो आप इंड एस में भी करते हैं, इंड एस का प्रोविजन बताइए और उसके बाद आप सिनेरियो को कनेक्ट करके कंक्लूजन दीजिए। अब यहाँ पे आपका कंक्लूजन क्या होगा, dilemma जो chartered accountant is facing, whatever the dilemma that chartered accountant is facing, and how to overcome that dilemma, how to come out from that dilemma, not to be under any pressure. So in case he go, what is the correct what treatment which he should follow, and in case he is under any pressure or do any wrong treatment, is not in compliance, his treatment is not in compliance with standard, what kind of penalties may be attracted, that you have to mention in your solution. So your solution will cover two aspects. What is the correct treatment which a chartered accountant should do without being under pressure, under any force or fear. And second, in case they come under force, fear or pressure, what will be the repercussions. Okay, now what one point which is to be taken care of is that you have to see whether a chartered accountant is in service or is in practice, because different schedule is applicable for a person, a chartered accountant who is in practice or a chartered accountant who is in service. So your solution has to be taken care of. That is very important, because the schedule A, schedule B, part 1, part B, your answer may vary according to that. Okay, but for details of the theoretical concepts, you have to refer the auditing study material. They gives the detail. Okay. So I believe that that portion is also replied ki what kind of questions will be arrived. There are certain standards where typical errors are being done by the students. Basically, they get confused in cases that in case of in your Ind AS 23, let's talk about Ind AS 23 borrowing cost. There are two types of investments. One is your two types of loan which you take. One is your specific loan and another is your general loans. For general loans, as and when the period for which that expenditure has been incurred or utilized, that loan has been utilized, you calculate the interest based on the capitalization rate. However, in case of specific loans, the loans for this particular purpose which you are taken, that specific loan, even if you have not utilized it fully, you have taken the loan, you have started the construction activity, you have started incurring the expenses, your commencement of interest will start. ओके, बोरोइंग कॉस्ट का कमेंसमेंट शुरू हो जाएगा। अब आपने लिया था, फॉर एग्जांपल आपने लिया 10 लाख का लोन और आपने सिर्फ 6 लाख यूटिलाइज किया है, स्पेसिफिक लोन है आपका, 4 लाख आप यूटिलाइज नहीं भी कर रहे हैं, आपने ले तो लिया, आपने पूरे 10 लाख का लोन लिया है, बैंक आपसे इंटरेस्ट चार्ज पूरा 10 लाख पे करेगा, तो आप अपनी बुक्स में रिकॉग्नाइज भी तो पूरा 10 लाख पे बेसिस पे ही जो इंटरेस्ट इनकम आएगी, यू विल बी अप्लाइंग दैट ओनली। जो 4 लाख आपने अनयूटिलाइज आपकी लोन वैल्यू है, उसको आप क्या कर सकते हैं, टेम्परेली इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं। अगर आप इन्वेस्ट करते हैं फॉर टेम्परेरी पीरियड, तो उसकी जो इन्वेस्टमेंट इनकम होगी वो आप अपनी कॉस्ट की वैल्यू में से माइनस कर दीजिए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल 10 लाख के लोन में आपका 10,000 रुपीज का इंटरेस्ट बनता है, आपने 4 लाख की टेम्परेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट करी थी, तो 40,000 आपको जो भी हाँ, आपको 10,000 था, 4,000 की जो भी आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट इनकम मिली, आप 10,000 में से माइनस करके 6,000 को कैपिटलाइज करेंगे। अगर आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं करी थी टेम्पररी पीरियड के लिए, तो पूरा पूरा 10,000 आप कैपिटलाइज करेंगे, इररेस्पेक्टिव ऑफ कि व्हाट इज द अमाउंट यूटिलाइज्ड। आपने भले ही वो 10 लाख के में से सिर्फ 6 लाख यूटिलाइज किया, 4 लाख आपका आइडियल है, पर जब तक, क्योंकि वो स्पेसिफिक लोन है, जब तक वो एसेट कंप्लीट नहीं होता, वो क्वालिफाइंग एसेट की स्टेज में है, जब तक उसका कंस्ट्रक्शन कंप्लीट नहीं होता, तब तक वो स्पेसिफिक लोन ही मार्क्ड होगा। और जब वो ईयर मार्क्ड है स्पेसिफिक लोन, तो उसका पूरा इंटरेस्ट आप चार्ज करोगे इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ व्हाट इज यूटिलाइज। देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन इन योर टेस्ट नॉलेज रिगार्डिंग दिस। द रीजन वी रिसीव मेनी क्वेरीज की आपने यहाँ पे आप गलत मंथ कैलकुलेट कर दिया। आप उसकी इंटरेस्ट की इनकम आप विद द बिगनिंग करोगे, जिस देर से कमेंसमेंट ऑफ बोरोइंग कॉस्ट शुरू हो रहा है, उस मंथ से ही आप उसकी कमेंसमेंट कैपिटलाइजेशन भी शुरू कर दोगे, इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ यूटिलाइजेशन। इन केस ऑफ जनरल बोरोइंग यूटिलाइजेशन के हिसाब से चलता है। स्पेसिफिक बोरोइंग में अगर आपने लोन ले लिया, बोरोइंग कॉस्ट की कमेंसमेंट का क्राइटेरिया जो 3 क्राइटेरिया है, लोन लेना, कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्टिविटी होना, खर्चा शुरू होना, इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस शुरू होना, तीनों मीट हो रहा है, कमेंसमेंट आपका शुरू हो रहा है, तो आपको फिर करना पड़ेगा पूरा। ओके, दैट इज वाई द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ टेम्परेरी इन्वेस्टमेंट इनकम को रिड्यूस करने का कॉन्सेप्ट आया है। ओके, सिमिलरली सॉरी, ये क्वेश्चन हमने ऑलरेडी के सिनेरियो में कवर किया है। स्टिल इसमें अंडर इंडेस एंड प्रेजेंटेशन में जनरली स्टूडेंट्स को लगता है 12 मंथ्स के बियॉन्ड है तो वो नॉन करेंट हो जाएगा, 12 मंथ्स के पहले है या 12 मंथ्स तक है तो हमारा वो करेंट होगा। पर आपको मैंने क्वेश्चन भी समझाया है, ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल की जो डेफिनेशन है वो ये कहती है एसेट के प्रोसेस होने से कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट के रियलाइजेशन तक का जो पीरियड है वो पूरा ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल माना जाता है। तो कैश एंड कैश के रियलाइजेशन कब होता है? जब आपको डेटर्स से पैसे मिलते हैं, ट्रेड रिसीवेबल से पैसे मिलते हैं, या फिर आप सप्लायर्स को पैसे दे रहे होते हो, है ना। तो ये सारे पीरियड्स को आपको कंसिडर करना है फॉर कैलकुलेशन ऑफ ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल। अगर ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल आपका 12 मंथ से ज्यादा है तो जो भी आपका ऑपरेटिंग साइकिल का पीरियड है वो आपका करंट पीरियड माना जाएगा। उस पीरियड के अंदर जो भी चीजें फॉल करती हैं वो करंट की क्लासिफिकेशन में आएंगी। दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट विच हैज टू बी टेकन केयर ऑफ। ओके, ये भी एक, इसमें एक और पॉइंट था, प्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स ऑन डिवीजन 2 में, डू नॉट इग्नोर द मैच्योरिटीज ऑफ एनी पार्ट ऑफ नॉन करंट लायबिलिटी रीपेड विद इन 12 मंथ्स फ्रॉम द रिपोर्टिंग डेट एज अ करंट लायबिलिटी। जब हम प्रेजेंटेशन करते हैं कोई हमारा नॉन करंट आइटम है, तो उस नॉन करंट आइटम की कोई इमीडिएट पेमेंट आपकी विद इन 12 मंथ्स आने वाली है, इंस्टॉलमेंट पेमेंट जो नेक्स्ट ईयर आएगी, तो वो जो नेक्स्ट ईयर आने वाली है विद इन 12 मंथ्स वो आपकी करंट में जाएगी, बाकी रिमेनिंग आपका नॉन करंट में होगा। ये क्लासिफिकेशन भी आपको याद रखना है। ये बहुत बच्चे टोटल वैल्यू लिख देते हैं नॉन करंट में, उसमें से हमें बाइफरकेट करना पड़ता है कितना करंट कितना नॉन करंट। ओके, दो दैट हेड इज नॉन करंट पर उसका एक इंस्टॉलमेंट करंट में चला जाएगा क्योंकि वो ड्यू होना है विद इन 12 मंथ्स। ओके, क्या होता है बेटा, जब हम रीवैल्यूएशन करते हैं, जब हम आप इम्पेयरमेंट ऑफ एसेट्स हम टेंजिबल्स का कर रहे हैं, इंटेंजिबल्स का कर रहे हैं, जहां इम्पेयरमेंट ऑफ एसेट्स है तो हमें ये देखना है कि रिवर्सल करते वक्त ओरिजिनल, अगर रिवर्सल इम्पेयरमेंट ही नहीं हुआ होता तो डेप्रिसिएशन नॉर्मल प्रोसीजर से चलता आता, तो नॉर्मल यूजफुल लाइफ के अकॉर्डिंग चलता, तो क्या वैल्यू होती आज की डेट में कैरिंग वैल्यू। और इम्पेयरमेंट हो जाने के कारण से अब रिवर्सल हो रहा है, तो रिवर्सल की वैल्यू उतनी आज की करंट वैल्यू विदाउट एनी इम्पेयरमेंट कंडीशंस जो है उससे कम नहीं हो सकती है, सॉरी उससे ज्यादा रिवर्सल में नहीं हम ला सकते। व्हेन इट मींस, फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ वी टेक इट ट्रू अमाउंट्स, an asset have a value of say 1 लाख रुपीस, हमारी आज की डेट में अगर नॉर्मल सिचुएशन में डेप्रिसिएशन चलता आता तो उसकी वैल्यू बचती से 75,000, बट बीच में इम्पेयरमेंट हो गया था जिसके कारण से उसकी वैल्यू 60,000 आ गई थी, और अब उसमें हमको रिवर्सल करना है। रिवर्सल करते वक्त हमारी वैल्यू, रिकवरेबल वैल्यू इंक्रीज होकर 20,000 आ रही है, तो हमारी एसेट की वैल्यू 80,000 आनी चाहिए, तो हम 80,000 नहीं करेंगे रिवर्सल, हम देखेंगे कि क्या वो 75,000 तक पहुंच रही है, तो हमें आज की डेट की वैल्यू 75,000 ही लेकर आनी है। तो रिवर्सल भले ही वो 20,000 का शो कर रहा है बट वी हैव टू रिस्ट्रिक्ट इट टू 15,000 ओनली, तो 60 प्लस 15 का रिवर्सल कर देंगे, 75 तक ही हम वैल्यू को इनहेंस कर सकते हैं। ओके, नेक्स्ट इज इन योर इंडिया 16, ये बहुत ही कॉमन है कि जब हम नॉन मतलब एक्सचेंज ऑफ एसेट्स करते हैं विदाउट एनी कैश कंसिडरेशन, तो यहाँ पे जो स्टैंडर्ड कहता है कि वी हैव टू सी द, एक आपने एसेट एक्वायर किया है, एक आप एसेट दे रहे हैं, तो इन केस इन केस आपने एसेट एक्वायर किया है, उसकी फेयर वैल्यू भी दी है, और जो एसेट आप गिव अप कर रहे हैं उसकी भी आपको फेयर वैल्यू दी है, यू आर हैविंग द फेयर वैल्यू ऑफ बोथ। इन सच अ सिचुएशन व्हाट विल बी द कॉस्ट ऑफ द एसेट एक्वायर्ड? आपको अपनी बुक्स में एसेट एक्विजिशन की वैल्यू निकालनी है। जो एसेट आप दे रहे हो तो उसकी तो आपके पास ऑलरेडी वैल्यू है, तो आपको वो तो देने के लिए निकालनी है, लेकिन आपने जो लिया है उसकी क्या वैल्यू लेंगे? ऑब्वियस है, जब एक्सचेंज ऑफ एसेट्स हो रहे हैं तो आपके पास एक सही पैरामीटर वैल्यू नहीं है, क्योंकि दोनों की ऑब्वियस डिफरेंट वैल्यू होगी। इन दैट केस हमेशा आप रखिए, कोई आप एक पेन खरीदने जा रहे हो, यू आर बाइंग अ पेन, यू आर पेइंग इन कैश ऑफ से 10 रुपीज, तो what is going from your side out from your pocket is 10 rupees, so the cost of the asset is what you are paying. Okay, so when you are acquiring any asset, so what you have to say, what you are paying, you are paying an asset for that, for this particular pen. If I'm giving this pen, so this I'm paying for getting this asset acquired, for acquiring this asset, so the value of this pen will be the cost of this asset. Okay, fair value of this pen will be the cost of this asset. When both are, when fair value of this is evident, or when fair value of both the assets are evident. If fair value of this is not evident, then we have to take the fair value of this asset to recognize this asset in our books. हम इसको दे रहे हैं लेकिन इसकी फेयर वैल्यू नहीं हमें पता, तो फिर हम इसको भूल जाएंगे, then we'll consider only the fair value of this particular pen. Okay, I hope this is also very clear to you. So these are some types of common errors which we do. ये एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, बच्चे हमेशा सोचते हैं जो एसेट मिल रहा है उसी की फेयर वैल्यू लेनी चाहिए थी, हमने तो दिए हुए एसेट की लेनी, क्योंकि हमने पे किया है, जो पे किया वो मेरी कॉस्ट है ना। ओके स्टूडेंट्स, लेट्स मूव ऑन, सिंस टाइम अपना हो रहा है, वी वुड लाइक कि आप, अगर आपके पास कुछ क्वेरी है तो प्लीज आप मुझे वो कन्वे पूछ लें। 5 minutes आई एम गिविंग टू यू ऑल, वट एवर क्वेरीज यू हैव यू कैन आस्क अस, or you can just mail us at bos@ica.in, or to the subject specific query mail id which is there on the website. Contact us में है BOS knowledge portal में, you can call us there also. Okay, any query student, I'm waiting for you all, and hope you found this session to be very useful to you. Okay, thank you Jyoti for your encouraging words. Thank you Rishabh. Any other guidance you want, any other question which is in your mind, you can raise to us. Don't feel anything that what we will be thinking. We are there to reply you for your even silliest questions. So feel free to ask it. Okay. Okay, students, in case you don't have query, we'll be summing up the session. Ajit. Yeah.